Here are the other endings to the side quests I did. First is the ending you get if you side with DeRosa and must fight the Jackal, who's extremely unhappy that you decide to sacrifice the desert people to give DeRosa the chance to create Somnial energy. He has 2 henchmen who are exactly the same. The item he has is the Harina Shima. The aftermath is that the desert people are left to suffer as we put all our faith in DeRosa and his student to create Somnial energy. I really disliked this ending because even though solutions were presented, the desert people could go to Florum, or even take up refuge in Anchime. We don't know what happens to the desert people. It's just left up in the air whether they die of dehydration or not, because all of the oases have now dried up.
Real people are suffering in the here and now for the sake of your research.
Also, here are the bestiary entries for the henchmen the Jackal had. And for the Jackal himself. I also found that I had the entry for Anna at this point, so here it is. Next is Summoner Mephilia Venus. After telling her that Go-Getter should return to working in Anchime, Mephilia fights you with 3 henchwomen.
Let's get on with it. I will squash you! For the sake of the future.
The Legion Archer, the Legion Mage, and the Legion Impaler.
I've abandoned my sweet but bitter past. Prepare to face Summoner Mephilia Venus!
The special item she has is a Mithril Rod. The only attack she has is her wind summon. Which is an airplane. Well, actually, it's a bird that looks like a plane that deals wind damage to all enemies. I don't know why it's an airplane, but it is, I guess.
Must I give up? Yet again? My sage, my sister, my Sullivan.
After defeating her, she flees and Go-Getter goes back to work in Anchime and helps improve their wind shortage solution, and is happier for it. Note the music here. Whenever this triumphant music plays, that means the game feels you have made the correct choice in the side quest. Not that it matters, since the side quests are optional and have no bearing on the main storyline, so you can choose whatever you want.
This new data's not going to collect itself.
Well, hasn't this turned out well? He's found his dream job at last.
And he seems more confident than ever.
I know, right? Just look at how he's enjoying his work. I guess my advice was on target. At the very least, I'm sure of that much.
We receive Mephilia's memos, which tells of her descent into madness after the events of the first game and how she recovered from it, and the clues to where all of her summons are located because she got rid of them. And here are the entries for Mephilia's helper. And for Mephilia herself. The way the summons work is the weird owlmen in the dungeons have them. You talk to them, you accept the challenge, they hit you with the summon. If you survive, they give it to you. It works that way for all of them, except for one, Charbitis. Because Charbitis is a debuff summon, you are required to defeat the anchorite that has it. Once you defeat him, he gives you the summon.
Splendid!
Next is Holly White. When you side with Profiteer and tell the little girl and her grandfather to sell their home and move to Heartstile so their old home can be made into a port, Holly fights you with 3 henchwomen.
Get out here, girls! These buffoons need a dose of reality. Let's take good care of them! Why am I always surrounded by stubborn oxen? Well, I'll show you how I deal with oxen. You're looking at the former saving
All of them are the
grace
same,
of the
called
Eternian
Nurse
Sky
in
Knights.
Training,
White
who only have one
Mage
special
Holly
move
White.
called This Might
Assume
Sting.
the position.
The special item that Holly has is a Jade Crossier. She also has a monologue in the middle of the fight.
People should live in a way that suits them. Live above what suits you or below. You'll only end up miserable. I suppose you types born into wealth and privilege will never get it. Eris, my boys, Grandpa, why have you all gone and left me?
Afterwards, the grandfather explains to his granddaughter that he's going to sell the house, and the protests of the girl are meant to make you feel bad. And I did until Profiteer is given a letter from the old man.
But that's our home! The home we shared with Mom and Dad!
I know, child. But there's no sense in staying there if it's just gonna lead to more pain and strife.
No! I don't want to leave again! If you want to go, go on your own!
No, wait, child! Well, I fear you've seen the worst of us now. My.
What is all this? First that sentimental sadist, and then the little girl both go running past me? Oh, so you've been convinced to sell the house? Fantastic! I shall owe you for this, Miss Idia. And the Profiteer always pays his debts.
Thanks, but I didn't do it for you. I did it for the people of this nation.
Now, once we get back to the city, we will have you sign over the deed to that house, and...
I know. But you'd better be sure you can pull this plan off for my granddaughter and all of the children.
You can count on me. You have picked the winning horse in this race, don't you worry.
That reminds me. We had a letter come for you.
Eh? For me? From whom? The former King Kammer the Eighth? What is this? I defaulted on a loan which I had secured using your name. A very large one. So sorry, yours, Kammer.
And I could not stop laughing. But then I realized that we just made him agree to building the port, and he bought the house and most likely will not be able to follow through on his promise due to his business partner, Kammer, putting him even more into the red.
How could he be so reckless? And now, of all times when I need the funds! I am afraid that I have urgent business to attend to. I will have to leave this country for a short while, but fear not, I will return. Now, if you will pardon me, there is a certain metal-clad cad I must be seeing.
I sure hope I made the right call.
Now work can begin on the new trade port, and this nation can get back on the road to recovery. Kids like that little girl can look forward to a bright future here when they grow up.
Yeah. Let's hope.
There was a party chat about the Sea of Corsairs because Holly mentioned it. Here are the bestiary entries for Holly's helpers, who apparently are not real nurses, which is why their special move can put dread on someone when they use it because they are attacking you with a giant syringe. Well, according to the entry, anyway. And here's the entry for Holly. Finding Ominous Crow and Bahamut to side with Artemia and evenly divide up the food was a quest I was looking forward to doing, since it was one of the decisions I made the first time around that I regretted from a moral standpoint.
But I'm going to have to fry your fool daughter to a crisp! Come, Bahamut, we have to win this battle for the sake of the world! We have no choice! Burn them! Burn them all! You're about to face Black Mage Ominous Crow and his loyal partner, Bahamut! We will defeat you! For Luxendark's sake! Aha!
Ominous uses fire-based attacks, and Bahamut also hits you with fire-based attacks, but the title at the top of the screen seems uncertain if he's using strong fire attacks or just managing regular ones. The special items in this fight is a bomb arm, which you get from Bahamut, and an ether, which you get from Ominous.
Oh, congratulations! I hope you have some plan to save the world!
After
There we
defeating
go.
him, we divide
Evenly
up the food,
portioned. We
and
have
then
enough for 30
spontaneously
meals.
wake up in the spa.
Back
Everyone
safe
got
in
out
New
alive and are
Honor.
fine.
They put
Ominous
us
and
up in the
Bahamut help heat
bathhouse.
the water at the bathhouse, and will eventually
found us.
have Bahamut learn Femto
everyone
Flare.
okay?
And now that there's no restriction and time crunch, he can learn it at a
We're all
literally
fine.
pace, so it all works
You
out.
and Magnolia are up and moving too.
Artemia? The kids?
They all made it back safely. They're out getting food right now, in fact. We figured you'd be grouchy when you woke up with an empty stomach.
What about Ominous and Bahamut?
They both made it. They're helping out in the boiler room, preparing hot water for the baths.
Oh, thank goodness.
What's wrong? Are you still having second thoughts? Going against Ominous and giving up on the Femto Flare?
No, I don't regret anything. I'd make the same decision again if I had to. Besides, I'm sure those two will master Femto Flare someday.
Yeah, I imagine they will.
Ah, la vache, c'est magnifique! Oh my, what a splendid banquet! Miss Idia, the townspeople have all come to express their thanks. Prepare your stomach, Idia. I see a great feast in our future.
Here are the entries for Ominous, who is somehow 35, even though he looks and sounds like he's 70. Bahamut gets an entry too, even if it is brief because he's just Ominous, his pet companion. Next is the fight against Knight Argent Heinkel. He tells Sholmes to follow his Aunt Kikyo's footsteps. Of course, Knight Argent Heinkel is not happy with that, though I am confused by this. Neither one seemed to see any sort of promise in Sholmes, so wouldn't they be relieved that he decided to work for the other? Regardless, Heinkel fights you with 3 of his henchmen. To my surprise, Heinkel had an elemental weakness of lightning. You might be thinking, he's wearing a full suit of armor, of course he's weak to lightning. But there are bosses that have full body armor and have no elemental weaknesses. So, the game is really inconsistent like that. The special item you can steal from him is an adamant shield. I defeated him and got his job class, which is great, but just like before, it turns out that Heinkel is Whitson in disguise. This once again makes me question, if we don't fight the real Kikyo or Heinkel in this segment, how do we end up with their asterisks? I guess we're not supposed to think about it too hard.
But wait.
Either way, Sholmes excels at whatever career you tell him to choose, and everything is right with the world. Here are the entries for Heinkel's henchmen: Sky Pikeman, Sky Archer, and Sky Dueler. I guess because Whitson was disguised as whoever you decide to fight, the Sky Archer is not actually an archer. He's a harp player for the city constabulary. Okay, thanks for that completely unnecessary addition, game, since I'm pretty sure he can still attack you just like any other archer in the game. And here's Heinkel's entry and his backstory.
I think you should let Praline have the rights to the song.
Next is the fight against Barbarossa to obtain the pirate class when you deny him the rights to Archipela's song and decide to give it to Praline. I hate this route for the side quest because of what Idiot says to Raka to convince him.
But Praline is becoming as famous now as your grandfather was in his time. Which do you think the world cares about more? The wishes of a genius from long before their time? Or a new song by the biggest star alive?
But his message!
What of it? That message is no more than an albatross hanging around your neck.
What?
Haven't you always felt overshadowed by your grandfather's legacy? Look, I know how it feels.
Idia.
So you didn't inherit his genius, his technical skill, his dedication, or even just plain old passion for music.
Idia, that might be going a bit far.
So cut that albatross loose. Send it flying with Praline's ridiculous arrangement of your grandfather's legacy.
Oh, Miss Idia!
Huh? This song.
What kind of bilgewater are you babbling?
I'm glad when
now, you
Barbarossa comes in to
scurvy
slap sense into Idia, but of course we have to defeat him.
So, our parley was for nothing, eh? Me mateys and I will show you just how wrong you are. Let's teach this little girl and her scurvy friends what a man's dreams are worth! Come on, boys! I ran away from home at 15 and took to the seas with a stolen galley. I braved waves great and small to reach the sea of corsairs. Hefting my axe on my shoulder, I battled my way to the top. Until I, hay-ridden Barbarossa, was named Vice Captain of the Eternian Black Blades! I'm the only one here.
He fights you with henchmen we've encountered before, Death Pirates. Here I have Magnolia on the Thief class, and I also discovered that the special ability of the Thief class, Rob Blind, allows you to steal twice the amount of the special item that the enemy has.
I can still sing. This is a time.
After defeating Barbarossa, he flees, and then Praline shows up to sing our praises.
We're hoisting canvas.
Oh, my, he really was a most deafening man. But now we can give the girl our blessing to use my grandfather's song, and I can finally focus on my own works. I trust I can ask you to pass along the good word to Miss Alamode?
I don't think that'll be necessary. Say what you will about her, Praline takes her success very seriously. See?
Oh, could it be? You're giving little old me permission to dress up that dusty old tuna.
Just kidding. She just talks about how she's going to completely change everything about the song and not keep anything original from it except the tune. It is recommended that Rocca can learn from her to update his musical style. I really dislike this
It's what
side
the
quest.
world wants, and in turn, might even be what my grandfather wanted too. Do as you will with it, Miss Alamode.
Oh, are you? Prepare your ears for a divine arrangement of diva-rific proportions!
Diva-rific?
It'll be the girliest grooving sensation of style ever to enter your ears!
If you say so.
Lost already?
I'm afraid so. It's like she's speaking another language. I am barely a few years your senior, Miss Idia, yet you seem to understand her. Could it be that I am behind the times?
Why don't you try catching Praline's next show? Mix in with the crowd. Hey, you might learn a thing or two.
That's right! Forget all your worries! Throw your hands in the air like you don't have a care!
Throw my hands in the air? If the opportunity arises, I will be sure to try.
Oh, that's not the right attitude. I want to see some real passion here. Let it roar up from the bottom of your soul!
Play that fa-fa funky music, do, dude! Is that more like it?
Path, but anyway, here's the entry for Barbarossa. Finally, I get the Dark Knight class from Alternus. After siding with Common's choice to get rid of taxes and the poor laws, Alternus puts aside the fact that he is Idia's childhood friend to fight her for what he believes is right. He fights you with two henchmen who are exactly the same. Despite being covered in a full suit of armor, Alternus has no elemental weakness. He has Dark Charm as his special item. In the middle of the battle, Alternus tries to change Idia's mind by proposing to her.
The children are our greatest treasure. A nation that forsakes them has no future. But let us speak of another future. Our future. Yes, you will be my bride. And I shall be your...
This isn't the time for proposals, you ninny!
Of course it doesn't work, and he gets defeated.
The nation of my dreams is no more. Oh, curse you!
Wait! Alternus!
Wonderful! Your father would be proud of you. Now, it's time to put this nation back on its feet. I am already working on a major public works project to repair the
Idia tells Calmer that he needs to focus on stabilizing the economy first before focusing on any building projects.
Don't be ridiculous! You're just as bad as Alternus! You're already talking about building projects? About making Grand Ship fly again? It's too early for that. Your first job is the economy. There's no need to go from one extreme to the other. The middle ground is nice. Try it. You'll need to learn to compromise, to work together, like adults.
Yes, ma'am.
The taxes on foodstuffs
We're then
were cut
shown
almost
that the merchants can make a profit
I
again
can't
now
tell
that
you
prices
how
are
much
more
easier things
reasonable.
are now.
However, it seems like the orphans have been neglected and are starving.
Business has been booming all over Grand Ship.
Oh, I'm starving.
Me too.
It's too bad about the poor laws, though. The orphans have had a rough time of it.
And what about Alternus?
He hasn't been around much. Not since the engine room meeting. He's been running all over the place, trying to help the orphans.
I guess it's not easy to keep the coffers full and look after the poor at the same time.
Perhaps. And perhaps not?
Huh?
All right, everyone. Time for the Eat Your
But then the
Fill
proprietress
buffet.
gives the children an all-you-can-eat buffet because the merchants pool their profits to provide food for the orphans.
Yeah, with the tax cuts, the merchants are finally turning a profit again.
And they've been donating their extra profits to help feed the children. Aw, ain't that sweet?
Wow, that's really generous.
An artisan also comes by and gives the orphans jobs.
Beg your
Jobs
pardon?
doing what?
I heard there was some
No
children
idea,
here
but he'll
looking
pay for their
work.
schooling.
You bet there are. Right behind you.
Oh, don't you two look keen? If you apprentice with me, I'll pay for your schooling. What do you say?
You got it, mister. We'll work hard and study hard, too.
The music implies that this is the correct choice for this side quest, but they had to force a win-win situation for it. What was keeping the proprietress from hosting all-you-can-eat buffets before? If the children are old enough to work, why couldn't they work for their schooling before? Whatever, the orphans are taken care of and Grand Ship's coffers are full, yay!
It was all thanks to you, Idia.
Oh, I didn't really do anything. I just said what was on my mind.
Idia, my dear, the food won't last forever, you know. Aren't you going to dig in?
You don't have to ask twice.
Here are the bestiary entries for Alternus' helpers, who are apparently apprentices for Alternus and can only use Minus Strike. Minus Strike deals damage equal to the amount of HP lost during the battle. They're also not real knights, but hoodlums that Alternus decided to teach Dark Knight techniques to. Kinda feels like the Sky Archer all over again. Here's Alternus' entry. And that is the final job class I needed. There are some empty slots on the wheel, so let's go ahead and New Game Plus to get the rest.